Finally, after like 2 or 3 years without Doctor Who, Jodie Whittaker came as the 13th Doctor, I believe. Got regenerated to David Tennant. Everyone freaked out because supposed to be Nguti. He's coming in a couple of episodes, but the new Doctor Who special is going to be 3 episodes. The first one dropped today. They're going to be shown at BBC and also Disney Plus at the same time. I'm gonna rage about or gush about it in a few minutes, but I don't know, for a year or 2 years here, we make fun. You've tried to get into Doctor Who like 3 or 4 times. Unfortunately, said should be something that you enjoy, but you haven't been able to get into it. But your co-host Tony is also into it. You guys are going to discuss it on your own podcast over there. But you say you were going to watch these 3 episodes. So, as someone that has tried to get into Doctor Who, now, but you know the overall idea of it. You don't need to know everything. What were your thoughts coming into today watching this episode?
Uh okay, where do I start? So as you mentioned, I really have in the past tried to watch Doctor Who. I've tried different ways. It's not really something up my alley, aside from one episode I really loved, and it's really a self-contained episode.
Mm.
So as you mentioned, Tony is a huge Doctor Who fan, and I know he was very excited for this. And on my podcast, we discussed House of the Dragons, but Tony was not a Game of Thrones fan. So as a a reward for him for watching it for me, I said I'll watch the three specials, and if I like it, I'll keep watching it with you, and we'll talk about it. But if I don't, that's it. Like that's my last try.
You can't keep going.
Doctor Who. Like. So and he even was like, "Hey, you can watch the first one. If you don't like it, we don't have to talk about it." I was like, "No, I'm gonna watch the 3 episodes. I'm gonna
just 3."
So I clicked play. It took like a little bit getting used to. I was like, "This is like so weird, like the big alien people," and again, the episode starts with a recap of what happened, which was pretty useful. And again, since I have friends who like Doctor Who, I've heard these things before. Like I had an idea of what I was watching. I really wasn't like, all knowing. Tony reminded me that Wilf is the guy from the memes, so apparently that's an emotional story, and I just see it as a joke.
Oh, when his name was mentioned, and the actor died last year, I think. So it's gonna be even more emotional when he shows up at some point in this next 2.
They even did a funny joke with it. Like, he's no longer with us. I was like, oh no, he's at home.
Plate.
So with all of that said, I have to admit that I really liked.
All right, great.
I really liked it. I bet you can guess what was the thing that made me go like, I'm interested. Because it was ridiculous.
There were a few things that were ridiculous. I don't know which one. Oh, not the weird aliens. That's not gonna be. What was so ridiculous? I don't know. Some of the jokes were. I don't know. Everything worked.
It was when this was the moment, but the whole Meep thing, I was like entranced with what was going on.
Yeah.
Like hail to the Meep.
It went pretty because I'm watching now. So my wife doesn't like Doctor Who. She glances as I'm watching, she just walks by and she's like, "This is too weird, all these aliens." So when Meep shows up, she's like, "Oh, they're finally doing a cute alien." And then 20 minutes later, she says, "Oh, they're back." Now he's just like, sorry, this is Doctor Who.
That's like the kind of thing I love when it happens in Star Wars. It mostly happens in animation, but I think that's like the kind of thing that George Lucas would be like, let's do that. But dude, it was the moment when David Tennant like stops the car, walks out with Meep, and starts a trial. And the weird aliens are like, "Yes, no, I am Sergeant this, and we're looking at, because he's a terrible monster, and we're very afraid of him." Like, what is happening? And then
the shadow proclamation. You gotta.
And then he's like, "Meep, what's your point of view?" And Meep was like, "Screw it." And like,
It was because I saw when they're driving off, and I forgot the name of the weird aliens. They shoot at the car, and I detect, and like nothing is happening. I'm like, okay, whatever, it's Doctor Who, and that's the first thing I mentioned. Well, you notice that nothing happened to the vehicle, this and that, and it's very interesting when you check the pulse on the soldier. So it's very Doctor Who that in this very chaotic scene, let's just stop and have a trial with a weird British wig on. But I love, like you said, the little introduction at the beginning, even though I've watched like 5 episodes of the two of them just to get ready for this one. So I kind of knew what like that little recap. I love they went right into it. We didn't have to go through that regeneration at the end to kind of know what happened. It kind of was explained as it went along. I'm extremely excited for the next two because David Tennant or this doctor still doesn't know why he has this face, why he was chosen back. Something is coming. Him and Catherine Tate have great back and forth since 15 years ago, like they said the last time that they played those characters. To still be at that level coming on was great. I love the introduction that they did where he's just taking the boxes stuff. And you cannot expect it to be her, but it's a fun reveal. When he hears the name Rose, and he just freezes for a minute. And we know that someone else are like, oh, I feel it for him.
What does Rose mean?
Oh, I'm just gonna slap. So in the 2 seasons, when Doctor Who returns with Eccleston, so the companion, her name is Rose. So when Eccleston leaves and then David Tennant starts as the Doctor, it's the two of them. So this Doctor and Rose is the companion. I forgot her name, this blonde actress. Just forgot her name. And that season that the two of them are together, it's very emotional season. Right at the end, I mean, you don't care. I'm just going to spoil it. So she gets sent to another dimension, basically, to a parallel universe. Right as she confesses her love to him. Like, I love you. And as soon as he's about to say it, the connection between both universes cuts off. So he never has that goodbye with her.
Oh, wait. So Rose is
Billie Piper. Yes.
Oh,
thank you, Billie Piper. So, and of course, in those episodes with Catherine Tate in season 5, I think it is, or season 4, she shows up, and they have a good reunion, and there's another Tennant's doctor gets divided into two doctors, so she's able to go to the other parallel universe with a version of him. But still, there's something there. So every time the name Rose shows up, he has that connection to Doctor. Yes. Okay. Same with Wilf. It's like that Wilf reunion is gonna break everyone.
So Wilf is gonna be in the show.
Yes, because I saw they released a table read that they did from the Doctor Who Twitter account. They released a big table read, and he was there.
Oh my god!
So he's gonna show up at some point, and it's gonna kill us. So, but I love.
And him and David Tennant were like best friends or something?
In the show, you mean?
Yeah.
So Wilf was someone that believed that something was out there. He has this big telescope always looking at the sky. So when he finally meets the Doctor, he's like, oh, see, I'm not crazy. There's aliens, all this. And he's very attached to Donna Noble, to Catherine Tate's character, her granddad. And they're very close, almost as best friends. Like he said, him and Donna Noble were best friends. They had that type of relation. It wasn't nothing romantic like it's been for some other doctors. So it was a best friend kind of thing. But that relationship with Wilf was just almost it. When second to last episode with Tennant, when he regenerates, he has to save or sacrifice himself for Will. I'm not gonna waste time just explaining everything. But they have a conversation when Tennant's doctor kind of say, hey, I would have been proud if you were my father. So it's that type of father-son relationship. And when he wipes Donna's mind, it's kind of telling Wilf why and why he can't tell her everything. And there's a running gag with her of why she's always misses the big... Everything that happens, she always misses it. Every time an alien comes, she misses it. So that's a running gag at the beginning when the starship crashes. She's like, oh no, there's nothing happened. I missed it again. So that's been a running gag for years. But yeah, that's when he had to promise, or Wilf had to promise not to remind her of the Doctor and all the adventures they had. It's something that Will had to carry for years. So it's going to be very interesting when they're able to meet again.
Okay.
But yeah, the Meep was... I love that turn because in all the promotions, the Meep is so cute. So I love that turn. It was very Doctor Who. I love the Sonic Screwdriver has some new abilities now to be able to do that little screen out of nowhere. But I don't know. It's everything in it felt extremely Doctor Who, which is always one of those things that you're not too sure about if it's gonna
Mhm.
hit the mark. But to me, it felt like it kind of kept pace with those other series. And like we mentioned before, talking about what Buck said, that maybe Star Wars and Filoni is missing, it's this representation for LGBTQ, trans people, non-binary, and you see it there with Donna's daughter. There's and it's very people might say something else, but it's there, so there's no confusion where Doctor Who and the fandom and the creators stand in terms of no, it's important, it matters, and like Star Trek, Doctor Who's been at the forefront in this, and David Tennant, if you follow him, he's always carries his pin out there. So I love that it's there. If people want to complain, that's on them. But to me, it was spot on with what Doctor Who represents.
I really like that reveal because I had no idea. I didn't know it was a trans actress or anything.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
was
I
like,
wasn't
oh.
sure either, but so it's cool to see it. And also that scene when they're in the spaceship and the panel comes down and divides both of them, and then he has to decide if he's going to Doctor Who. Yeah, exactly. We have a Star Wars connection there. So when that panel, that glass kind of screen between them, he has to decide to give her memories back, knowing that she's going to die. When people say with Star Wars, oh, it's like poetry, it rhymes. That final episode, not final, but when Wilf and him are separated. So he's behind, Wilf is behind the screen, and there's a bunch of radiations gonna come through. And he's knocking 4 times on the glass door, which is a recurring theme for the whole season. That when you hear 4 knocks, is when you're going to die. So he knows, oh crap, if I don't save him, then Wilf is going to die. I have to change positions basically. And he does this great speech of why it's not his time, but he has to do it. So one of those, it's like poetry. It rhymes again with the glass door between them, and he has to decide then again to kill Donna at that point. So I love that connection. So very excited. And of course, the Meep leaves with that little kind of nugget. Oh, I'm gonna tell my boss. I can't remember the
Mhm.
exact thing. And then of course the TARDIS, which looks great every time there's a regeneration. The TARDIS change. I love this TARDIS. So humongous, all the white columns, everything. So very excited to see the next 2 episodes.
I will say it's his boss, Neil Patrick Harris.
Maybe a
Maybe.
lot of I don't everyone's he's the toy maker, the galactic toy maker, something I guess from the original Doctor Who. I don't know that those over there, but apparently this is also a very important character that's returning. So
Okay. And I did want to mention, like, not even being a fan, there were like 2 moments that had me like, it was when Donna like closes the gate and tells them like, "Oh, you go. I have to go help the doctor."
oh
I was like,
yeah, yeah,
uh, and Donna's mom was like, "She called him the doctor." I was like, "She did."
yeah. I like she said doctor. I'm trying to remember. Wait, did they mention it? And then the mom
No,
remembers.
so it really got a gasp when she said it. And
Yeah,
the other part was when she supposedly dies, and suddenly it's like, no, you gave her half the power to Rose. I was also
yeah,
like,
yeah. Dude, I was tearing up. I was tearing up in that scene when it was happening, and I'm glad that she's back. All right.